it, Thrashin' Jackson?
My favorite band is breaking up! They're disbanding! They're retiring! But before they do, they're going on one more final tour! The last tour ever! After this, I'll never have the chance to ever see them again!
Oh, well, that kinda sucks, I guess, but at least you have the chance to see them one more time in concert.
Mr. Meltdown, even more horrifying news! My favorite band is doing 3 more tours! It's not one final tour, it's 3 final tours! They're coming around my area 3 times! That means I only have 3 chances to see them!
They're coming to your city on all 3 final tours? I don't see the problem. You could go to one or even all of those shows if you really want to.
Oh no! Horrible news, Mr. Meltdown! They're doing 5 more tours on top of the previous 3! That's 8 tours! 8 final tours! And then they're not doing anything else forever no matter what! What am I gonna do?
Wait, how is it a final tour if they're doing 8 of them?
Great news, Mr. Meltdown! My favorite band is reuniting! They're doing 18 reunion tours immediately after the 8 consecutive final tour ever retirement tours! Hooray! Yeah! I can't wait to see my favorite band play music forever until they literally die on stage! Hell yeah, brother! Woo!
I don't like that this is becoming more and more common. I don't like that people are simply demanding that their favorite band literally tour forever and only retire or disband on their terms. And I also don't like that these bands are just caving in every single time. I think that something has importance and has meaning, not because it lasts forever, but because it doesn't. An apple, for instance. An apple cannot live on a tree forever. It has to eventually fall to the ground or be plucked. It cannot live on the ground forever. It has to be picked up, or it has to decompose into the earth. Once it has been plucked or picked up by you, perhaps, it cannot sit in a fruit basket forever. It has to be eaten. It has to be turned into a delicious apple pie, a chutney, a compote. Turn it into cider. I don't care. Whatever you want. It's your apple. But it can't sit there forever. What makes that apple special isn't that it could last forever. It's that you can savor and appreciate it in that moment at a specific time. It has meaning. The same is true of human life. We cannot and do not live forever. Stories, concepts, photographs, maybe those will live forever. Maybe people will talk about us. Maybe we will inspire somebody to do something great in the near future. And maybe in that way, a part of us lives forever. But we cannot ourselves literally live forever. And I think what makes life so special is in knowing that. And in making every day the best day possible. And doing the most you can with what little time you have on this earth. And this seemingly never-ending cycle of retirement and reunion tours is so exhausting. And I think it really kind of like minimizes and dilutes the impact when a band actually does call it quits. You know? Because like, when I saw Slayer on what was their first of 3 final tours back in like 2018, I want to say. Like, that felt really cool. That felt really special. That felt like I was a part of something really big and really awesome. I got to celebrate this band that I love one last time with a bunch of other bands that I love. Lamb of God, Behemoth, Anthrax, Testament. It was a great show. It was a great night. And Slayer killed it. And Slayer made such a big deal out of being like, we're donezo after this. We are done. Slayer is over. And that made it feel really important. And now it just kind of doesn't, because Slayer is back. They're only doing a few shows here and there. They're not like a full-time band, but they are still back. And I think what made that night so special for me, it just doesn't feel as special now. Same thing with Motley Crue. Like, I used to love Motley Crue. I still do kind of have a soft spot, at least for those first 2 albums. And I remember going to their highly publicized final tour ever in 2013. And it felt like a big deal. It felt special. And now it isn't, because Motley Crue is back. And yikes. At least Slayer still sounds good. Motley Crue sounds like ass. I mean, Vince Neil sounded like ass fucking back in 2013 too, but like, you let it slide because it's like, oh, it's their final show ever. They're going on their terms. And now they're back. And they're raking in that money. And Vince Neil looks and sounds terrible. And Tommy and Nikki ain't so great neither. There's plenty of allegations that these guys are using backing tracks live, and like, they're not actually doing a lot of playing themselves. And the situation with Mick Mars makes it really ugly and weird too, especially because they just did that movie, The Dirt, which goes out of its way at the very end to be like, and then Motley Crue got back together and put their shit aside, and they're all brothers, and they will be brothers forever. And the ending of that movie feels tainted because of real life shit, because of real life events. I don't know if y'all remember either, but Motley Crue went out of their way to draft up like legal documents and paperwork to ensure legally that Motley Crue could and would never continue after they were done with their retirement tour. No other band could take up the name and mantle. And then they literally shredded the documents because The Dirt was like a minor success. I don't buy that storyline personally, because like, it's not like anyone talks about The Dirt 4 or 5 fucking years later, whenever the fuck it was released. I don't remember. I think it's just money and a little bit of ego, because like, these guys went their separate ways and suddenly no one gave a shit about them. You know, Nikki Sixx with his other band 6 a.m. playing much smaller venues, and Tommy Lee is a DJ, and Vince Neil doing his solo act. They didn't really get that same name recognition, you know? It just wasn't working for them. They wanted the money, they wanted the fame, they wanted to be back up on stage. It wasn't about, you know, introducing Motley Crue to a new generation, because I don't think the new generation gives a fuck about Motley Crue. I don't think anyone under the age of 40 really genuinely gives a fuck about Motley Crue at this point. And honestly, even 40 is a pretty generous number. It's probably closer to 50. Like, these guys are old. Motley Crue's debut album was 1981. That means if you were like 9 or 10 years old, or even a teenager when that album came out, you are now in your mid to late 50s or even early 60s. This isn't about the new generation. This is entirely about ego and fame. And for the people going to these concerts, it's about nostalgia. I don't think a lot of you fully understand how important nostalgia is, how much of a driving factor nostalgia is in selling anything nowadays. Not just an album or a tour, but anything and everything. Like, do you think people went and saw the new Lilo and Stitch movie because they were genuinely really interested in how Disney would reinterpret this iconic story and world? No. They went because it's Stitch, and they love Stitch. They loved him 20 years ago, and they love him now. It's purely nostalgia. Disney made that movie because they knew that they could weaponize nostalgia to rake in millions in ticket sales, merchandising, toys, all kinds of Stitch-related crap. It's the same thing with Motley Crue. If they were genuinely interested in trying to appeal to a younger audience and generation, then they would actually try to do so. And they aren't. They did like one song 6 years ago with Machine Gun Kelly, and that's it. They just announced the tour like maybe, 2 or 3 days ago as of this recording, and like, it's the Carnival of Sins 20th anniversary tour and the Motley Crue 45th anniversary tour. It is literally weaponizing right away on nostalgia. Give me your money. Remember this tour you went to back in the day? Wasn't that awesome? Wasn't that great? Don't you want to relive the glory days? And they got like fucking Tesla and Extreme opening for them too. And this is no disrespect to Tesla or Extreme. I got no beef with them. But like, what fucking person my age is gonna go to a Motley Crue show and be like, oh boy, Tesla and Extreme? Wow! And Motley Crue ain't even the fucking worst of the bunch. Kiss managed to stretch what was supposed to be their last final tour ever into a 20-year fucking endeavor. For years they would insist that this tour is the last one. So you gotta come out because we're never coming here again. And then 2 years later, boom, we're back! But this is also the final show ever. So you better tune in, you better show up, you better pop on by. And yes, as of this moment, Kiss is technically officially retired and disbanded. But now Kiss is working on creating these like digital avatars that will basically become the new Kiss and basically just tour forever. Like a hologram version of Kiss. Because why not? Screw it. And look, we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about Pantera, because my thoughts and feelings on the Pantera reunion by this point are scarily well documented, but I will once again point out that Vinnie Paul made it very, 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 very clear many a time that the idea of a Pantera reunion without his brother, Dimebag Darrell, he was genuinely disgusted and insulted by that. Now, some people over the years have attempted to gaslight me, insisting that Vinny would actually love this, and I'm just a stupid hater. But this is what Vinnie Paul said in an interview, a long-lost interview, but it's been transcribed by Ultimate Classic Rock magazine. Thank you for that. Here's what he said. I don't live in the past, man. I want to look forward. I want to keep moving forward. I understand them wanting to see it, especially people who've never had an opportunity to see Pantera, but without my brother being part of it, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to trample on his legacy to make some people happy. Boom. There you have it. And that's Vinny being nice, by the way. He was way harsher towards the suggestion of a Pantera reunion more and more as time went on. You can pretend that he didn't say these things if that makes you feel better about spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to watch Phil Anselmo pretend he's a rock star again, but he said 'em. There are other things, too, that have happened in the past few weeks that have forced me to really consider this never-ending cycle and grift, dare I say, of reunion and retirement tours. Like, Megadeth have announced that they are going to retire after putting out what will supposedly be their final album in January or February. They will tour for 3 or 4 years, and then they're calling it quits. And then simultaneous to that, Rush is coming out of retirement for one more big world tour next year, their first in, if I'm not mistaken, just over a decade. And though I'm inclined to believe, perhaps foolishly, that Megadeth and Rush are more genuine voices and more trustworthy actors than Motley Crue, Kiss, and Pantera, I nevertheless cannot help but think, what's the real goal here? Because these retirement and reunion tours make a lot of fucking money. Because you spend years hyping up your final ever shows. If you don't see them in Philadelphia next week, that's it. You'll never see them again. If you don't see them when they come to Baltimore, Orlando, Phoenix, Montreal, that's it. You'll never see them again. there is huge financial incentive to do a retirement tour, and even more financial incentive to do a big reunion tour a couple of years later, where we're back because we love you so, so much. Because, like, for example, do you think that Glenn Danzig and the Misfits actually patched things up, and that's why they reunited? No. I think that Jerry Only was tired of playing small fucking dump-ass fucking shows in dive bars, and I think they offered Danzig a crazy amount of money that he simply couldn't say no to. And I want to make something clear. I don't think a band reuniting is automatically this big kind of cash grab kind of moment. In the case of the Misfits, Motley Crue, Pantera, damn right it is. I'll argue that till the day I die. I don't fucking care. But what about Carcass and At the Gates? These guys aren't household names necessarily. Influential, important, great, but like, they're not gonna rake in millions the same way that these other bands will and do and have. I remember when Carcass and At the Gates put out Surgical Steel and At War with Reality, respectively. It never once felt like they were chasing the past. It never felt like it was nostalgia bait. It never has ever felt disingenuous. It just feels like they're back, and they're making great music, and they're having fun. Same thing, honestly, with Coroner. I mean, they finally dropped a new album this year, Dissonance Theory. It's great. I'm not a huge fan of that new Dark Angel album, but I don't think for a moment that there's anything like really disingenuous or like grifty about it, or Dark Angel still existing. Even Acid Bath, like I think Acid Bath saw an opportunity because of this weird kind of viral online popularity of their music to kind of have a real second go at it, to transcend from being like a cult kind of band with a cult following to being like a genuinely popular, successful touring band. Like I said, it's really all about intent and transparency. Like, what is the incentive here? What is the goal? Are you back because you genuinely want to continue playing music? Or are you back because you just want to make a couple of fucking bucks? Something else happened pretty recently that kind of flew under the radar. I don't know if y'all heard, but David Coverdale announced that Whitesnake had disbanded and that he had retired. No big fucking spiel about getting ready for one big final album and one big final tour. He was just like, you know what, man? I'm old. I'm done. Thanks for everything, but goodbye. That's it. And you know what? Bravo. That's how it should be done. Far too often, some people think that they are owed one big final album, one big final tour. They can only say goodbye to their favorite band on their terms. And that's another problem as well. Like when Ozzy did his Back to the Beginning big final concert ever earlier this year, we did a video called Thank You Ozzy, where it was just kind of me talking about what Ozzy means to me personally, what he means to heavy metal music and culture, to rock music, to pop culture at large. And there were a few people in the comments that seemed really upset because they wanted one more big final show, one more big final event. And it blew my fucking mind reading some of these comments because, like, brother, you just got it. You just got exactly what you fucking asked for. And since I know for a fact that some disingenuous doofus is gonna come in here and tell me that I'm lying, I'm making this up, boom! Planet Sabbath. At the very least, I would like to see one final album from Ozzy. Just a final statement from him to bow out with. Brother, you got two final albums. Ordinary Man and Patient Number 9. What the fuck are we talking about? Either that or we get one actual final Sabbath record for real this time. You did. It was called 13. It was released in 2013. Just one true final statement from either Ozzy or Sabbath, and then that would be it. You did, though! That's what the Back to the Beginning show was all about! One final statement from Ozzy and Sabbath, and then that's it! Literally, Ozzy died 2 weeks later, dog! What are we fucking talking about? You got exactly what you fucking asked for, and somehow it's not enough! I've said it before, and I'll happily say it again. Half the reason these bands won't stay retired is because y'all won't fucking let them. You beg and you beg and you beg for more and more and more because you can't accept that it's over. That it's over now, that it might be over someday soon. You cannot comprehend this for reasons that we don't have the time to get into, although I think age is a big one, because your favorite band retiring after 40, 50 years forces you to acknowledge that, Jesus Christ, you're not a young, spry fella yourself, and that's a difficult thing for people to come to terms with. It was a difficult thing for my mother to come to terms with. I love her. I ain't gonna talk shit about my mother here, but Jesus fucking Christ. And soon there's buzz, there's people talking, there's hype, there's anticipation, there's demand, and this catches the attention of Ticketmaster and Live Nation and concert venues and all these different agencies and management companies and even the bands themselves, the people in the bands, and eventually there's enough money and enough demand that we can make it happen for the fans, and suddenly nobody has to grow up. Nobody has to accept the harsh reality that nothing lasts forever. We can just pretend we're all fucking 20 years old again. Hooray! It's a grift, folks. It's a never-ending cycle. We ask for more, they give us more, and we're all motivated by nostalgia and the inability to accept that some things just don't and won't live forever. The apple has to fall from the tree. The apple has to be eaten or used. It has to eventually decompose. It will never be a perfect apple forever. And it's about time some of y'all realize that. Because I would love for Rob Halford to actually retire and not pass away 2 weeks later. That's what happened to Ozzy. His daughter's gonna get married and he doesn't get to walk her down the aisle. These guys are too old for this shit, man. Break the cycle. Let them retire. And let them reunite if they genuinely want to. Let it be a thing that feels genuine. Please. Or at bare minimum, just stop yelling at me. I'll settle for that. Yeah. You're gonna do it anyway. Alright. Subscribe. Other videos. Join us on Discord. Yeah. Let me know what you think. Or don't.